everyone's facing this challenge of the Monday, Friday problem, or Tuesday, or whatever the day it is that's the problem. Because why you're paying rent on that office despite you're not there. Yeah. So this comes back to the data thing. Do you literally close down your office on a Friday? Or do you shut down 2 floors? Yeah. And this is all rid by data.
We've done that for some of our client space because we know we just weren't using it on a Friday. So we've closed some of our floors down. Now, they could be easily brought back into life, but actually, it's the right thing to do, and it means we can balance off some of our other services as well. So that flex needs to be in the mix. And that's where the facilities teams are, each week having to adapt their services. And that's when it becomes a challenge because it's absolutely office is crazy, busy, and you go from that to not being very busy. So how do you balance the two? How do you make sure there's it's equitable, that everybody can provide that service? Because let's face it, the majority of facilities management roles are in the office every single day of the week.
Absolutely.
And it's the highs and the lows and motivating people.
Yeah, it's because I'm doing a project. I don't think it's confidential about it because someone in the market knows about in Brussels, and we've got about 580 people. We're going to put in 360 workstations. But what we're doing, this company we're working with had done this with Nestle, and we went to see the space. They are full every day of the week. Because what they do, they have to come up with this idea of they have one team day, so everyone has to be in one day. It's a team. Then they have 2 flex days in the week, and the other 2 days and those flex days are Monday, Friday, whatever day it is. And they change it every 6 months or 6 weeks. I can't remember what it is every 6. Well, they'll change and everyone team.
I like that.
So what you get is a balance where it balances out throughout the whole week, and we're really curious to see if it works. But obviously we're restricting. But there's going to be There's going to be a floor which is team, and the other 2 floors are going to be flex. So number one, it includes the collaboration because you'll get people all mixing together. But it should balance out those days when the peaks and the troughs. So, and I didn't go, but my CEO went to see Nestle on a Friday afternoon and said it was packed. It was full.
Amazing.
So it's a really, as it comes back to this scheduling thing, and it's really thinking, and I think the value of the work, the workplace strategy people now are so key to real estate. Whereas before they were like, design something and we'll figure it out. They are really important now, much more so than probably more so than the transaction and the PM and the FM guys. No respect, because if they get it right, it's fantastic. If you get it wrong, and again, it's just
but of course, what that does is it puts lots more pressure on those workplace professionals to come up with novel solutions, unique solutions that
which I think these guys are
client-centric, which is I think the direction of travel. But we've been around long enough, all of us, to know that there was a cookie cutter approach to workplace strategy historically. That's not going to wash in a world of complexity and diversity of action.
Yeah, but also not so gimmicky either. The ping pong tables and the seats us oldies can't get out of, or all that kind of stuff.
I've got the Friday afternoon seat that faces the window that you fall asleep in. That's the seat I like.
But you don't want that kind of stuff.
It's all about the people at the end of the day. And you talked about real estate and the level of cost, the people cost to businesses, and getting those people, retaining talent, attracting talent has never been more prevalent to the real estate team, because people who are responsible for recruitment across your business is now coming to you and say, right, we need to create a real estate solution that will attract people and then want to come work for us instead of our competitors.
And I think that in fact, I had a meeting on this yesterday, and there was HR, there was brand, we were all together thinking about a particular location that we're wanting, wanting to do some fairly, intensive recruitment over the next couple of years. And how do we all work together to make sure that the LinkedIn page, the Instagram, all that kind of stuff is amazing, that we are, producing the appropriate messaging, and it's aspirational as well, and I think that's where, traditionally real estate teams have probably not been involved. And I think, I think it shows where we've got to, we're trusted advisors, and that we are, hand in glove with HR on these sort of things. And I think, COVID was a really good example of where people did come together, and that connections continued beyond, which I think is a really
what is it you call it, Lee? What is it you refer to COVID as?
It's instigated a great global workplace experiment, isn't it? I mean, everybody's kind of gone into uncharted water. The thing that I see from occupiers is they're evaluating their experiences rather than just living the experience and kind of going back to type. They're evaluating and then shaping and evolving from that information base, which I think is really important. But the CRE function, to my mind, has gone through quite, I've been in the market 20 years. I think it's gone from being pretty much an order taker, someone barking what they need and going and procuring it. Yeah. It's then become a little bit more around sort of shaping that order and pushing back and crystallizing, how much space do we need? Do we really need that much? And having a bit more of a power play. But to Alison's point, it seems to me now it's about actually working with other corporate functions to bring the whole piece together. Yeah. Because the other thing that we've seen over 20 years is that real estate isn't just a box you put people in any longer. It's strategically important. Yeah. If you get it right, you can confer competitive advantage on your business. Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's a greater recognition of that. Yeah. So, to my mind, the corporate real estate function is going to be, Cornett spoke years ago about the multi-nuclei model where, real estate was with IT and HR. Yeah. I can see that. It may not be as formal as that, but I can see the interaction. Yeah, I think we're heading in that direction rapidly. I think that's a feature for 2023 as much as 5 years from now.
And I think it's even more so. And I think it's been actually, COVID was a godsend actually for real estate to get that connection
back
with
the importance again.
Yeah, well, back to important, but also that connection with HR, which fundamentally in my career never had that connection ever. But it comes for me, and I sit listening, and it's like it comes back to, for me, it's like where you are in your growth, in your maturity, because I'm at ground zero, and I'm just having these kind of trying to make them understand the value that real estate can bring, and I think the thing that James made is this need for talent retention and acquisition of or attraction of, and it's interesting because I kind of went to this conversation, this seminar this morning, and it's not going away, and then, it'll be interesting if we sit and have this conversation this time next year. Whether that question will still be the same or that the market trend was there, because what is coming down the pipe is clearly we can all see what's going to happen, and it's already happening in our industry, that it's going to impact. And
what's interesting, I mean, I'll put a question back to you, Lee, if I may. Clearly the economy is not in a particularly great shape at the moment. We've seen redundancies in tech, we've seen redundancies, the finance industry, etc., is coming through. 6 months ago, recruitment was really, really hard. Retention was really hard. We're now going into slightly different economic cycles. Exactly. So therefore, is that talent? For some roles, functional roles, you can easily move within sectors, but others it's going to be a little bit more challenging. But are we still going to be talking about the fight for talent in a year's time? I think we probably will be, because I think there's some roles out there that are really limited. Pool.
I think it's I think it's
Phil's going to help answer.
Yeah, sorry.
Great.
I know you're interviewing us, but
I know, but it's the supply and demand to people, because the supply line is drying up because so many people are retiring. And you see it's huge, but it's a huge amount of people in their early 50s, early 60s have said, I've had enough, I'm exhausted. COVID was the last straw. Yeah. I've saved my money. It might not have enough, but I can retire. And that's what's driving it, I think. That's what's cooked. If that wasn't happening, I think you'd see a slowdown.
I mean, my sense on this is that we're at an interesting point in time right now. Yeah. So start of 2023, where there's been a lot of negative talk about deep and long recessions, which actually the economic data doesn't back up.
No.
So if you look at actually some of the lead indicators, look at energy costs, look at a range of different indicators, we might have a soft landing. If you Googled soft landing in the last week, the number of hits would be through the roof, because I think there is a sense that we may have talked ourselves into a bigger problem than actually we're going to experience. Yeah. And let's hope that's the case. Yeah. But I think what you've also got is a disjuncture between the macroeconomic environment in terms of the growth story and the labour market. If you look at most labour markets in the markets that we tend to operate in, the major mature Western economies, labour markets are defying gravity. Yeah. Record levels of employment. Yeah. You've got the generational impact, absolutely, the great resignation, quiet quitting, all of that stuff that's impacting the supply of talent. And then on top of that, you've got a completely different sort of generational gaze over what people expect from work and the workplace, which I think is playing through as well. Yeah. Yeah. So I think all of these things are going to shape not only how much space we need, but how we deliver work. And I think actually I'm a little bit more positive than I probably was when I went to sit on a beach about the back end of the year, reflecting. I think we're actually in a bit of a better situation economically. And I think all of those events, what they mean from a corporate real estate perspective is that occupiers or real estate professionals are unable or unwilling to get too far away from the brake.
Yeah.
You know, so they're happy to drive into certain areas. Are happy. You know, what we saw again out the sentiment index was lots of people planning for the future, not necessarily implementing, hovering over the brake. There's lots of reasons to apply pressure on the brake and actually stop. And what we've had as a consequence is a lot of staccato rhythm in the corporate real estate behaviours because people don't have the confidence or the road to run in actually to get projects delivered. So until we get some resolution to some of those big issues, we're likely to continue to see that staccato progress, I suspect, over the course of the next 12 months and beyond.